Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, episode 45, and we're going to look back on a dramatic night down at the DIY Kitchen Stadium against Wakefield Trinity, decided with 7 seconds to go on the clock, heartbreaking for the Rhinos, and looking ahead to a massive game this Thursday at the Leeds Sports Village against Leigh Leopards, two teams vying out for those vital playoff spots, go head-to-head once again. It was a classic at AMT Henley earlier this year, and we're expecting something similar on Thursday night, so make sure you're getting over there. Travel has sold out for that, coach places have sold out for that, but tickets are still available. Make sure the boys need you on Thursday night. The kids are on summer holidays. Get over there, have a night out in Leigh, and cheer the boys on. Should be a great occasion. They always put a great show on there. Derek Bowman knows how to get a party started, so get across to Leigh Sports Village to enjoy that one. My name's Phil Dale, I'm the head of media and PR. I'm delighted to be joined by assistant coach Scott Grix. It seems a while ago since that night at Wakefield. Obviously we had last weekend without a game. Looking back on it now, how do you reflect on it?
Well, it's a long time going into the break. It seems even longer going in the back of a loss. So I think we've had a long time now to reflect on it. Boys have had a bit of a break there too. So the game, obviously, like you said, went right down to the wire, which makes it even more hard to take at the back end there. But what was a tight game with two good teams going at it for a long time there. And we kind of left ruin the chances we missed, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking there before we started recording that my reflections on the game, like in the 48 hours afterwards, we made loads of mistakes and errors and things like that. And actually, when you look on the cold light of day at the statistic, Wakefield made one more error than us, but I suppose it's where you make those errors and how quickly those errors come together that can hurt you.
Yeah, context is key with all of them, obviously. In isolation, probably not that bad. But field position and then compound and go back-to-back errors at a crucial period of the game, really. Obviously hurts you. I think we put a lot of effort into the game, numbers-wise, obviously comes out pretty good. We ended up missing a bunch of chances just from being in the thick of the game there. Obviously, it's really hard for the lads. You've got to understand that when you're watching, when the fans are watching, even more so when we're reviewing it, 3 cameras, slow-mo, we're almost going, why aren't you passing that? Or it's obviously quite hard in the middle of it when you're trying to build your game and the defence isn't showing you the same picture as the time before, and a lot goes into it, obviously. So when you come away, I think once the initial disappointment's done and you check it all out, as we've discussed and Langers would have discussed previously in the season, it's never as bad as it looks, and obviously horrible coming away from there into a long break with the loss. But the plan was all right. The errors that we made did hurt us, but we still had plenty of opportunity to win the game. So we've been in there with 10 minutes to go, whether we've been leading or not, in every game we've been in. So we're putting ourselves in a position and still learning some lessons of how to get over the line.
Yeah, some of our defensive efforts, I mean, the flip side of the amount of ball we gave them in key areas, but some of the defensive effort were outstanding. If we can build on that going into now the run into the season and hopefully into the playoffs, that's really something, that's a foundation you can build on.
Yeah, and I think we're obviously doing it a little bit too much. The numbers would suggest that we're a decent team defensively. In that game, we ended up with pushing 5 minutes of attack on our try line, essentially over the full amount, that's a desperation area, so it takes a lot of energy to do so, which again is probably another reason why you ends up clouding your decisions a little bit with the ball. We'd like to have more opportunity with it. We're certainly working hard enough. We just didn't come out the right side of that one.
And I know, speaking to the boys, after all that effort on our try line, they were really disappointed with MasonLowes' try when he got over, because it was just something that we'd been dealing with all night.
Yeah. Just sheer weight of a volume of D, I suppose, in that area, because and the play that they ultimately scored off to get them back was a play that we'd previewed. It's nothing that we didn't see. It's just getting them right when it matters, and when you put yourself under that much fatigue, it's obviously really hard. And then who knows? We didn't quite get the setup right but Crofty's nailed them for us in the past. It could be a different story, couldn't it? So, and I'm not, MasonLowes wasn't the most amazing drop goal you've ever seen either, was it? But they all count, and it mattered at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was in a great atmosphere, wasn't it? I mean, that derby fixture now is really getting back to something special. It was a sellout crowd. Great to go there for the first time and experience that. And the game really lived up to that pre-match build-up about a big, tight derby match.
Yeah, we've, obviously when we played them at home, the last game we played, we got out to a pretty good start and got a couple of scores up, which made the game a little bit different in the end, but the game got built up really good in terms of the rivalry. Like you said, I really like what they're doing there with everything they've got going on to make it more of an atmosphere and take advantage of the stadium and how well they're doing at the minute, but on the back of last year. So you couldn't have asked for a better night for it, really. Good on them.
Good on them. That sums it up nicely. In terms of the game itself for us, how big of a loss was it losing Jake to friendly fire as well? Yeah,
you need your spine to be in the game and on the pitch for a start, to be in with a chance of getting them key plays when you need them. Obviously did us, but we had a straight swap there with Cine on the bench, which is why he's in there, and he's played in all those positions for us this year, and he's more than capable. So, but when Jake's the one at the minute that's, he's leading up there with the numbers in terms of line break assists, try assists. It'd been better to have him on the field when it mattered, but it's not the reason we lost the game by any means. Just like to have had him out there for that last bit, I reckon. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I mentioned for Jack there, great cool head to keep that conversion as well from Jarryd's try that. I think he'd only come on a couple of minutes beforehand and slotted over, so that was good to see. Looking through some of the stats there, James Bentley, top tackler with 47, Jarryd O'Connor, of course, up there with 46, and James on 40. Run meters with ball, Lockie Miller, 193, leading the way there. Ryan Hall, 143. I thought Hawley was back to his best against Wakefield, and Callum, 126 meters. Callum continues to roll back the years, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's quality. No matter where we play him, he just brings an elite level of play to wherever you put him. I think he's obviously helped a lot of people around him as well, having played in a couple of different positions. So for the younger boys that are looking at him when he's playing in their positions, the middle there or the back row, unless you're right, he's filled in at 6 for us this year too. So yeah, it doesn't matter where Cal is, the quality of play that he brings helps us. So I think when he came to it, like you said there with the numbers there, you can look at it two ways. You come away thinking, oh, actually we weren't that far, but obviously it can also be very frustrating when you probably should have won, in our heads anyway. So.
And we mentioned Jarryd's numbers there, all-round game, good one. Nice for him to get over for a try as well. He had plenty of work to do to get over for that try as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to get it. Yeah, we discussed it a little bit. You're almost for them tries. You got to tuck your chin as tight as you can get it and smash it across the floor if you need to. And he's been held up in those positions, taking the right carry at the right time. Got him in them positions a few times, and he hadn't come out the other end of it. So it was nice for him to get over for one on the back of a Crofty carry. So,
is it important that he doesn't lose faith, that he perseveres when he has to have that natural, because you split second time, and if you think about it, presumably that gap closes as quick as it opens, that he still has the confidence to go for it.
It's a tough one to weigh up, isn't it? Because you've got, Jake's setting some up over here, wants the ball. Lockie's setting up over here, wants the ball. Sam Lasoni wants the ball because he wants another try. So in order to get all that right and pick the right play, again, we'll look at it with 3 cameras and a slow-mo and probably tell him half a dozen times where he could have run. But yeah, he's doing good. He's doing good. Obviously being pretty solid for us for not a number of weeks, probably the whole season for us. So I'm glad for him.
Do you think he's developing as a hooker in that role? Rather than just sheer distribution to those halves who really want it, he's actually now able to see those gaps. He had a couple of really nice runs, I thought, just inside a half that gained vital metre for us.
Yeah, certainly that's one of his biggest work-ons that I feel like he's getting right. The balance of the run to pass, knowing and seeing the cues for it. And there's the odd occasion where it opens up for a 9 to run, and they kind of don't come up with the right play on the back of it, and you may as well have not had the chance. I think the balance of getting them right, you're doing really well at. And obviously we're getting a little bit of that with the offloads that we're getting, because we push that as a thing, and we want Jarryd to be around them. I know we ended up with an error in the game, actually, ironically, but he's working pretty hard on that side of his game. And also, with the people that we've got around him, sometimes like the simplest play is the best play for him too. So he's also able to do that. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think that when Sam went over for his try, that was just the perfect play there. Sam's always looking for that ball, and he just hit the line.
Yeah, it's a big dude on little dude.
Yeah, he could have built a brick wall on that try. It wouldn't have stopped him.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff there. Mentioned too for Harry Newman, he had an impressive out, and they're really, working really hard, and He knows that Sean Wayne's keeping an eye on him for that Ashes Test series, and in big tight games like this, he's performing well.
Yeah, he's also knocked the last end of that block out, being pretty consistent, especially with his D stuff. He's worked really hard on his D reads and the tackle selection, and he came up with a couple of big ones for us in that game. Managed to hurt a couple of people at the same time. So done really good. Had a nice break for him now, and hopefully he can maintain those standards going into this back end, because obviously a big play for us. Yeah,
that shot on Lino will live long in the memory. He really read that play well. Some disappointing outcomes from it as well. Obviously, Alfie Edgel went off with that injury. Tough for him. Looks like he's going to be out for a prolonged period. Tough on Alfie, because he's been playing well.
He has, yeah. And obviously, it was probably an injury that kept him out of the last block too, so he's had to deal with a couple back-to-back here. At least we know what you're going to get with Alfie. Doesn't matter what position we put him in, he's a very reliable player. And we kind of knew at the time, we were trying to judge how bad his injury were on the field, because he couldn't quite remember where he did it. But knowing Alfie, we kind of knew that you'd either A, have to drag him off, or B, he'll let you know when he feels like he's at a detriment to the team. So we were happy to trust him at that point, and he got to the point where he could not go any longer. So it must be pretty bad for him, because he obviously is a tough kid too. Carried a bit of a shoulder earlier on in the season, and he was still running it like he was running through a brick wall with a shoulder that was giving him a bit of jib too. So yeah, unfortunate for Alfie. Put a string of games together there that was good for him. Hopefully he can rehab as strong as he has done previously and put himself back in towards the back end of this next block.
Yeah, and obviously losing 2 backs to injury there, presumably that changes what we're trying to do. Didn't change. Ben Littlewood was on the bench but didn't get on. These are all factors that again, it's not you don't play it by numbers and just throw people on it. You constantly, we spoke about it before, haven't we? You're the man down the touchline trying to get those messages across to lads. It's
unfortunate, and it's actually happened to Ben before this too. You got to take everything into consideration. Yeah, we don't plan for. We have a plan for if one of our outside backs goes down. If we get 2, then it's a bit of an issue. Luckily, we have players that can play in them position. Cal flips to that position, and we move Ash out. But at that point, then you're thinking, what have we got left in terms of the spread of? Because we've already moved 2 people out. We're coming to the end of a tight game. Start to think about what personnel are on the field to be in a position to win the game or see the game out. So there's all sorts going on, and obviously at the same time as that, we're trying to navigate our way through the immediate sets and deal with the current messages that are coming back from physios and stuff about other people that are on the field. So there's quite a bit going on, a back and forth between myself, Langers and Brad, Adam McGretton sideline, and Fergie, obviously with the medical stuff. Pretty hectic at times, as I've discussed about my role with the yellow shirt in the past. I think we managed to get it right majority of the time. There's always some learnings in there, but unfortunate for Ben. And I think they obviously had one that they didn't get on either, depending how it goes. You're carrying people, you don't carry people on the bench unless they needed to play. Like we're not, he's not on there because otherwise we'd have picked somebody else. So unfortunate for Ben. I'm sure he'll get another go before the end comes. And he's obviously earned his spot back from coming back from an injury too. So been good to see him in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you see them lads in training, they're doing the bulk of their week work, getting the team ready to play, and they're certainly doing their part there. You just reminded me there when you saw that you mentioned about you wearing the yellow shirt and the trainer going on there. I don't know if you saw in Australia this week, some controversy in the Penrith game. Their trainer going across going for a conversion of the touchline. Never been tempted.
I've had a couple of warnings about it. Not from anything sinister, just kind of timings of myself getting out there thinking I reckon I can make it before he kicks it, and I'm working my way around. Look, if it came to that point that I got something that wrong, and if the fine was as big as the one that they've got, probably won't be on this podcast again. So luckily we're not in that position. But yeah, I think the main thing for that one over there is there's a bit of stick there about them being serial offenders and that sort of stuff. So, if they're being naughty, then fair enough. Did look half genuine to me, but I'm going to stick up for Yellow Shirt Man on this occasion.
Yeah, the Yellow Shirt Union sticking together there. I don't think he helped himself by having a little chuckle as he came off to the side. He might need to work on his acting skills.
It was the same club that are squirting balls and a bit of that stuff, but what do I know? There
we go. See, it's all wheels within wheels. We mentioned the injury to Alfie there. The club's moved quickly to strengthen that side of the game. Chris Hankinson's come in from Salford. He's trained with the guys today. You've been impressed with what you've seen of him so far?
Yeah, and obviously seen him from afar and previewed him and seen him at his various clubs that he's had there, and he's notched up a lot of games, so he's got a lot of experience. And then in the middle there, obviously we weren't sure what was going to happen with Alfie, and the chance came up to bolster in that outside back position, and Chris can play numerous positions, which will help us going into the back end there, whether it's this week, the week after, or right at the end. You just don't know, do you? I think we've been flush with players at points this season and thought, how could we squeeze another one in? And you just never know. So to have somebody, and that's not a plight on those boys that are coming underneath him. We've got, Max and Ned are ready to play. We've got Lummy's obviously in there. So it just gives us another look at it, really, and a bit of experience for them in front of him.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? It's having options and experience. And, when we had Mike at the start of the season, we thought Riley probably wouldn't get much game, or Alfie wouldn't get much game.
Ethan's currently in a sling.
Ethan then came in, and Riley kept Ethan out of the side, and obviously Alfie's come in for Riley. So it's not necessarily 1 + 1 = 2, is it? It's giving yourselves options there that, and with the transfer market as it is, taking opportunities when they come, presumably. Yeah,
and we've probably maybe this year or clubs have done it definitely this year with especially what's going on with Salford, where players become available, and if you wait too long, they're probably gone somewhere else as well. So it can't be a perfect fit. It's not. In an ideal world, we have no injuries and we have no problems, but at this point, going into this back end, I need as much help as we can get, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good to have Chris on board. He was slotted straight into training there today with the boys, and in terms of the squad as a whole, Morgan Gannon's back in training now, and he'll hopefully be in contention for Thursday. Mick and Tom aren't too far off. Hopefully, they'll be back in contention. So we are getting back to those numbers as we get to the real meat of the season. Yeah,
we're getting there. It was a good day for our younger end to enjoy some first team experience, having had a bunch of our academy boys on Yorkshire duty. So it was a good mix on the field today there. And obviously we had the huge downpour in the middle, which is always brilliant when you're trying to get that done. I saw that you hid out of the way for that one, Phil, and then came out when the sun came out. Very smart man.
Yeah. Well, as I explained to Ryan Hall, the camera won't work in the rain.
That's a fair point.
Little point in me being out there just getting wet just for solidarity.
So yeah, we got. We'll always have enough numbers to make those sessions competitive and prep our team the best we can do, the Super League team. But it does help when you see you see Mikolai and Tom running there in the background, Gano in the mix, and you almost get them back after a nice and fresh. Hopefully we've not been knocked around a little bit for them the last month. So, yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned there about the academy. Fantastic for to have so many 11 players in the Yorkshire squad. Great testament to the work the academy staff are doing, and Chev in particular with that transition role, getting those guys ready, and that's being recognised now by the representative sides as well.
Yeah, oh, good. I think we mentioned it. I mentioned it last time I were on about the standards and the development of those players kind of trickling down from what we've got at the top. And, every one of those boys that are in that mix have all had first team experience this year with the training and rubbing off, Chev picking the rest of it up in terms of their academy schedule and what they're getting from a development point of view. We've got a really good crew there. And having that many people in the mix and is great for us and great for them to get another game at that level.
And of course, that's about Presley Cassell, who could have qualified for that side. But, looking at his numbers from the Wakefield game, 47 minutes, 27 tackles, 82 metres for a young lad in his second game. And Brad, by his own admission, in the first game just gave him a little taster of it in the second half. But he came on in the first half in a big derby clash like that. And it looked like he was playing his 100th Super League game, not his second.
Yeah, he definitely held his own. He's obviously come out of these last two games with some great learning points for him in terms of his movement around the field and picking the right players at the right time. And I think, that was one of the things, like with the Jake and the other stuff that goes around your interchange. And he might have ended up with more minutes than he maybe expected. But he's one of them players that. I mean, obviously, I'm in a different position, but when you look back at your debut in 10 years' time, most people go, "God, I was tiny," or I would, he's been ready for that for a long time, so he can hold his own for sure. Plenty of learning in there for him, and if we're honest, I think like the first team version of Prez that we've had a couple of games out of, we hadn't seen what we can get out of Prez yet. He's came on there and he's found his feet and held his own there in a couple of games. And once he gets into the swing of it, you'll see a lot more of Prez and a lot more about what he's about. And it's an exciting player for us.
Brilliant stuff. Before we look ahead to Leigh, a couple of things that are obviously going on in and around the game. We had last week announced the 14 teams for next year, and presumably we'll find out a bit more about that in the weeks to come. It's a bit of an unknown quantity at present. They've just announced there's going to be 14 teams. So that immediately starts plans there. And obviously there's a lot of noise about Brad's future. He's speaking to Ian. From a coaching staff point of view, I know Brad has spoken about this, that actually what's in place, the coaching staff and the players, they can run themselves. He's sort of obviously quite self-deprecating, his Brad, about his involvement. But from your point of view, is any of that uncertainty impact on day-to-day coaching duties?
No, just because, like, how honest has Brad been since he came? Like, he hasn't said anything different to what he's feeling at the time. So for us as staff and for us as players, it's not, the outside noise and everybody else wanting to know. Like, we already, he speaks to us, if we're in the loop, we understand what we're doing, and we also understand that we've got a bigger picture at the moment. We've got this week versus Leigh, we've got the week after that. That can't really affect us at the minute, because once you start, you take your eye off that kind of ball, and you start listening to other people and getting in you don't know where that could end up. So. No, Brad's been really honest. We've tried to keep narrow our focus, especially to make sure everyone's as prepared as they can be. Keep the boys on point, and we want a really strong finish to the season, regardless of whether Brad's here for next year or not. So that's getting sorted in the background, and I'm sure once Brad's figured his stuff out, we'll be the first to know about it, like we have been anytime it gets brought up. I think he's obviously pretty conscious that this gets brought up regularly, and every time he goes into a press that he gets asked, and he obviously deals with it the same every time. And so we're not in the dark about anything really. For us, we're concentrating on this week, and we want a strong finish to the season, because we've put ourselves in a good spot. We've had a chance there in that week off to review where we're at, and in all honesty, we probably should be a little bit better than where we are in the table. If anything, we know what we've got left in us to give around our game, and our effort is through the roof. Our buy-in for a plan and where we want to be. We just need to now ice our moments and back ourselves, really.
We mentioned there about the break and the lads going away. Would you think it would be a good idea to keep this split round in the middle of the season? It seemed quite good that teams had either last week or the week before got a week off, and then you're on now for the run into the season. It seemed like quite a good. I mean, I think it came about almost by accident because it was supposed to be a mid-season international ahead of the Ashes, but then rather than have a weekend with no games, they split the 6 games over two weekends. But actually, I thought it was, even if it arrived by accident, it was actually quite a good thing because it allowed teams to have a reset before going into the big running. Yeah,
for sure. I'm not sure how that looked from a league and a Sky point of view with the split weeks. However that looked, we were all kind of off at different points, but definitely gave us a good look at that. The way that we play, the effort that we put in, especially like that's a prime example, the Wakefield game with the numbers, and they need to freshen up. And I think it came at a good time for us there, where there'll be the odd Instagram photo of boys having a bit of sun on the beach, but it's well earned at this point. And in order for us to go to the next level for the next block, we'd have had to manufacture that some way with training volume, training content. So for us to manage to get away from us kind of banging the drum about us and our plan, and have a bit of a refresh themselves, and then we get to have a look at, we're ruining the chances from that, but we're also going, right, how can we get better for the next one? And we're always trying to pick our game apart. It gave us a good chance there as staff to look at what we've done so far and where we can take it for this last bit. So all in all, it's been great for us. Yeah, I agree. Whether it came about, like you say, by accident there with the England game, but the lads will tell you the same too. Freshen up at this point, going into the end is good for everyone.
Yeah, I think whatever is to come next year, are they trying to maintain? Because I thought my only complaint was having had a split round. Why there were 2 games at the same time last Friday? That seemed to be an error.
Yeah, and I think Lammy gave an argument there as well about they were on a bit of a roll going into the break. We didn't really want one.
Yeah,
but obviously that's contextual for everyone, isn't it? And they still ended up with a win this week anyway, so irrelevant.
Yeah. Great stuff. Which brings us nicely on to Leigh Leopards, Adrian Lamb's side. They're really built on what they've done in recent years and now look to be a grand final contender. It's going to be a massive game on Thursday night.
Yeah, they're consistently in games, and I think that's the main thing for them, because obviously they've had a bit of personnel missing at times, but because they're playing the way that Lammy's got them playing, all on the same page in terms of what they're doing, and they're a threat at any point of the game. They're really good at that, whether they're behind or getting ahead. They're pretty dangerous, aren't they? Obviously, as we saw last week with the Warrington game. So, yeah, pretty tricky opposition. Mentioned, in fact, I think last time or one time I was on here, we were going into a league game too, and I think I was previewing on that point as well. And this one's no different. They managed to drag us into a 100-point game or whatever it was last time, it felt like. So, yeah, tricky game.
But interesting, they've obviously got that reputation. They can score points. That they like to attack from anyone on the field. But that Warrington game last week was more of an attritional game, and obviously they had the 1-0 game earlier in the season against Wigan. So they can get into a dogfight as well as.
Yeah, they're obviously pretty well known for their attack and their flair. But yeah, they've won some tight ones, like round 1 with the way they won the round 1 game. They've had a couple of tight games where they've come out of it too. So, yeah, I think we got off to a really good start last time, obviously, and then a few moments in the game ended up, because they can strike from anywhere. So it's an important week for concentrating. There were a couple of lapses in concentration last time, which blew the score out and made it a little bit twitchy towards the end there. So we'll be hoping that don't happen again. But there's matches across the field there, like Lammy's ahead of Jake there with the try assists and the line break assist. There's, Tessie News. We just spoke about Harry having a decent month under his belt. He's obviously doing the same. So there's a couple of matchups for us there that'll be be good to watch for everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, I think like Pape, when he gets on a roll for them, he really injects some pace into what they're doing as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. What did the score end up last time? Was it
48-30?
Yeah, not ideal, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're hoping it's not nowhere near like that. We're a bit of a different team, I reckon, since last time we played them. That was a while ago now too. So
that ruck speed that they generate, or they certainly did in that game, and good. How when team have that momentum, that ruck speed, how difficult is it to try and control that?
Yeah, well, like we said, we spoke about Jarryd earlier and having the balance between the run and the pass, and their flair players are going to want the ball when that happens. But if you kind of evaluate it wrong, you've got Pape trying to shove you out of the way too. Obviously becomes a pretty difficult team to stop. And then obviously bringing Offengawian's been decent for him. He's played some big minutes and come up with some big plays for him. So they're relying a little bit on those two, I reckon. And then Lammy's obviously at the top of everything there. Interesting team. I thought Warrington ran them close last week, and I wasn't sure what they were going to get, as Lammy discussed pre-game about after their break, and they still managed to come up with a win. They were right in there till the end, so we'll have to concentrate for sure, especially after us going down with 7 seconds to go previously.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting factor as well, that we're coming off the bye week, as it were. There's a court in Australia, and they're coming into it off the second game after that, so that would be an interesting mix. And I suppose a lot of it goes back to Langer was on last time. He was talking about the front load and the energy. So the quick ruck speed is actually a result of maybe something that's happened 3 or 4 tackles earlier, that we need to keep the pressure on early on, rather than allowing them to get that. You concentrate on the end result of it, but actually, had we front loaded the energy,
and then you start to roll it back even further. What was the kick like? Was it in the right spot? What was that set like? So obviously you're on a big circle, and you got to get it all right for a majority of the time to be in with a shout, which is what we've been improving on. As I said, with our break that we've had and our review of where we're at after 20 rounds, we're pretty comfortable with where we're at, and know what we want to get out of this last block to put us in a good position at the end.
Brilliant. We can't wait. It's going to be a fantastic game at Leigh Leopards on Thursday night. Coming up this Thursday, we've got a very special edition of our Q&A podcast, when we'll be joined by Rhinos Chief Executive Jarryd Hayne. Gary will be answering your questions. Obviously, there's a lot of time of change within the sport. It was announced recently, so we'll be putting those questions to Gary. Make sure you send them in to info@therhinos.co.uk. What I will say from the outset, Gary's not the spokesman for all 12 Super League clubs who are all involved in the process of where we've got to. But anyone who's heard Gary and spoke to Gary in the past, he's pretty forthright with his opinions, and I'm sure he'll be looking to explain why, from his point of view, probably the most experienced administrator in the game of rugby league, why he thinks it's a good idea going forward, and where he thinks the game will get shaped. So make sure you send your questions. Our Q&A edition with Jarryd Hayne will be out on Thursday. You can have a listen to that on your way over to Leigh Leopards to go and cheer the team on. Grix, it's been great to speak to you and go through the Wakefield game. Not as bad as we first felt afterwards. We're all gutted after the game, but we're plenty there to give us encouragement going forward. It's going to be a cracking game on Thursday night over at the Leigh Sports Village, when Leigh Leopards welcome the Leeds Rhinos into town. If you can't get over there, make sure you're watching on Sky Sports to keep in touch with all the action. It's going to be a massive game for the playoff places as we get up towards the build to the end of the season and the start of the playoffs. It's going to be a fantastic end to the season. A lot of talk about what's coming in 2026 and where the game's going. I reckon in 2025 we've got some fantastic rugby league to come up. Make sure that you subscribe to all things Leeds Rhinos or wherever you get your normal podcasts to keep in touch with everything we've got. We've got some special podcasts coming out, not just the Q&A with Jarryd Hayne. We're looking to speak to Colin Maskell, ex-Leeds hooker, 1988 Yorkshire Cup winner, a special tribute to Sam Bacco, sadly sadly passed away at the weekend, and Colin's going to give us his memories of Sam and his time here at AMT Headingley. So that'll be coming up. We'll also have new editions of Box 2 in partnership with Best Western GB Hotels, and we've got the latest from the Knock On Effect. New father, Jarryd O'Connor. Congratulations to Jarryd and his partner on the arrival of Rory. Well timed, Grixie. I thought should have sterling job there, getting into the break in the season, the arrival of the baby. That is a rugby league household. That Terry and Jarryd making sure the calendars are aligned. Good work, fellas. So congratulations to Jarryd. Jarryd and Tom will be back with the next edition of the Knock On Effect. Thanks for all the great feedback we've had. It's been brilliant to hear how much people are enjoying all the things we're putting out there, and long may that continue. Remember to give us a 5-star review so we can keep climbing those podcast charts and spread the word about all things rugby league and Leeds Rhinos. And do remember to subscribe to keep in touch with all the latest podcasts when they come out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Thursday for a special edition of the Q&A podcast. If you're travelling over to Leigh Leopards, safe journey, and make sure you're in full voice to cheer the boys on. It's going to be a heck of a game against the Leigh Leopards, and we can't wait to see you over there.